Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news video, we're going to talk about the real reason behind Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania loss to Roman Reigns. We're going to talk how long ago WWE made that controversial decision from there. We're going to give you an injury update on Finn Balor and Shane McMahon following WrestleMania. And after all that, we've got some new reactions and gossip and everything else regarding WWE's sale to Endeavor. I'm Andy from WhatCulture Wrestling, and this is the news. Busy day, a lot to talk about today, and I guess we should probably dive right in with the topic of the moment, that being Cody Rhodes and his controversial loss to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. If you want to know how it went down, the What Went Down video, conveniently, is up right now on the channel. Ups and downs will be shortly. In fact, it's probably up by the time you're watching this, but I'm not going to do the play-by-play or anything like that. That's already been covered. Just going to cover the stories. So, let's dig in to Triple H's explanation of that booking decision, which came at the post-show press conference. And when he was asked, Triple H, of course, WWE's head of creative, about what had happened and about Roman Reigns defeating Cody Rhodes when Cody looked a red-hot favourite heading into WrestleMania, Triple H said the following. It's always interesting to me when people say, how could that happen, or how could they do that? And it's almost perfectly spelt out in the story. I need to finish the story. Referencing Cody Rhodes there, of course. In WWE, the story never finishes. Tomorrow night on Raw, the story continues. The story takes another chapter. We just got to the end of a chapter, but the story continues. Okay, and that's where this gets interesting to me. I think that is what's the most amazing thing about our business. The story never ends. So, Triple H is pressed on this a little bit by John Alba. Journalists asking some pretty good questions at this press conference, so fair play. That doesn't always happen. Shout outs to John. Nick Hausman as well. He had a good one too. John asked about how maybe they'd given up the opportunity for an all-time coronation in favour of keeping the current story going and dragging things out was the terminology that John used. Triple H said he felt that the term drag things out is a bit negative. And he said that he stresses over these things a lot. He thinks them over. I'll read you another quote from his response. But he talks about how when you're watching a movie and you think every scene is the last scene, and then you're like, oh my god, it didn't end, the movie sucks, and you keep watching and all this stuff. There's a lot of gibberish before he actually gets to his point, to be frank. He says, how much do we weigh that out? Every single moment of every single day. Some days when I'm trying to sleep, I can't sleep because I'm weighing that out in my brain. And I wish that I could sleep instead of weighing it out in my brain. It's all you think about. If you're going to be good at this, it consumes every moment of everything you do. And he continued. I'm just going to keep on going because I think this will go a long way maybe to, well, maybe it will or maybe it won't, to satisfying you after that main event. Here's what Triple H continues. It's a feeling and you feel it. Sometimes your feeling is wrong and sometimes your feeling is right. But I do know that it always continues and the story doesn't end here. Some people say, well, if you did this, it would have been better, but you don't know that, do you? You know what I mean? That's the thing. You're never going to know because if you did the other thing, it might not have worked out the way you wanted it to. People might not have reacted to it the way you wanted to. So it's always a feel and where you are in the moment. Honestly, it's the right place. Sorry, I messed that little bit up there, but he said, and where you are in that moment, honestly, is the right place to be. And that's where you have to be and bank on what's next, so you can continue to tell the story. But if I didn't feel like we had a compelling story on the other side, it wouldn't be the decision. So, coming out of this, Roman is champion now for 946 days. He was preferred by a lot of people to lose at WrestleMania. That's at 39. That's for sure. That's not exactly a controversial statement. I'll give you some of my thoughts on this and on the situation when we get to the Twitter questions. But there you go. That's Triple H addressing the decision. There's a lot of, not gibberish is the wrong word for it there, but there's a lot of fluffing going on, I think, in his response, whether you buy into the idea that the best is yet to come and the story continues or not. But I'll talk about that towards the end of this video in the questions. We've got an update now on when WWE decided Cody Rhodes was going to lose. It might seem last night like it came out of the blue, but this had apparently been in the works for a few weeks. Fightful Select came through with a tremendous report following the show, noting that WWE made this decision several weeks ago to have Roman go over, and that personnel were informed accordingly. There's no word on when the talent were informed about this, but people within WWE had apparently been defending the idea of Roman defending throughout the kind of week leading up to WrestleMania as well. So it's clearly been a topic of conversation. It's noted that a bunch of the main events of interferences, there was a lot of those, but it kind of worked to the match's favor. Like, finish aside, whatever you think of that, the match was pretty great. So the interferences, some of that stuff wasn't communicated until the talent and ringside officials and referees until the day of the show, which is pretty cool. Now, WWE sources have indicated that Executive Chairman Vince McMahon was not involved in the decision-making process. Yeah, I think a lot of people saw this report and immediately went, Vince! That's Vince! I recognize Vince! But WWE sources say that's not the case. Make of that what you will. And the report notes as well that once Vince was ousted as WWE Chairman and CEO last July, WWE put plans in place for Cody to compete against Roman in this specific match. So yeah, it had been in the works for several weeks. Apparently WWE had made their mind up, which is quite interesting to me, I think. It's not necessarily that Cody is like more over on the go home SmackDown or Raw or whatever than he was 2 weeks before and they changed their mind or anything like that. I think he's been pretty steadily over. Hugely so, obviously, since Sami Zayn lost in particular at Elimination Chamber. So yeah, it had been on their mind for a while. It wasn't just a split second last minute call or whatever. There you go. You want some updates on Shane McMahon and Finn Balor? Both of those gentlemen were injured last night, of course. Finn was wrestling Edge inside Hell in a Cell. He got busted open when Edge threw a steel chair at him. This necessitated Edge kind of distracting everyone by going for a bunch of weapons and taking the focus away. While that was going on, PW Insider, coming through with the report here, noted that Finn was given a numbing agent and he actually had his head wound stapled shut while Edge was rummaging around looking for more weapons. So he finished the match with his head stapled shut during it. He, of course, lost via concerto in the end, putting Edge over as the Demon. Edge had Slayer, South of Heaven. Very cool. But yeah, Finn Balor there, clearly one of the toughest men in this entire sport, if he's able to do that. No further updates on this condition. No word on how long he might be out for or anything like that. Hoping for the best in that regard, and that it is just like a head wound and not like a concussion or anything horrible like that. But I'm sure safety measures would have been taken during the match itself. Now, Shane McMahon... This was weird, wasn't it? He had a surprise appearance on night 2. Snoop Dogg introduced him to wrestle The Miz. Shane came down, cut a brief promo, wrestled The Miz, tried to do a leapfrog, landed weirdly, and tore his quad. Yeah, it took about a minute. The poor bugger, he went down. It was clear there was something wrong. Snoop Dogg had to improvise and wrestle the match in Shane's place. He did like a punch. He punched The Miz, and then he did like a people's elbow. That part was kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, obviously Shane has torn his quad. That's come out since then. Triple H confirming it during the post-show press conference. So look, Shane McMahon is a weird freak nepo baby, but I don't wish pain on people, so I hope he's doing okay, basically. This was a really strange segment across the board, and I think even if Shane hadn't gotten injured, it would have been strange. So, okay, there's your updates on those fellas. Also, in all of this confusion, WWE's about to get bought. Okay, Phil and Adam, I believe, came through with the video last night. If you want to know the full details of that, check out that video. I won't go through the nitty-gritty of it here. But basically, WWE's on the verge of getting bought out by the UFC's parent company, Endeavor, and Fightful Select have a bunch of new information about all of this. Noting that buzz of WWE being sold to a non-Saudi Arabian buyer had started picking up steam this week. Of course, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund had been heavily linked with buying the promotion. Although WWE had previously informed Fightful that they'd be entertaining potential suitors at WrestleMania 39, it turns out this transaction was actually in the works before then, a while ago. So there you go. Sure, sometimes they work outlets and stuff. Everyone, this is just how reporting works, particularly in pro wrestling. Fightful continue. Other potential buyers, it's stated, had noted that Vince McMahon staying involved with WWE had been considered a sticking point and a hurdle for a variety of reasons. Now, there's no word on Triple H and his status in creative and all of that at the moment, although it's noted that Endeavor sources have indicated trust in WWE's current head of creative. So that bodes well. What probably bodes well as well is that when Endeavor bought the UFC, Dana White kept his position. So, nothing concrete on that as of yet, but there's some signs that things will probably be okay for Triple H. Elsewhere, it's noted that the buyout could help. This is from a source. The buyout could provide WWE talent with more opportunities for mainstream exposure. Another source has indicated that UFC fighters are allowed to run content pages on sites like OnlyFans to supplement their income, which isn't the case with WWE stars at the moment, so maybe that's a positive as well for the wrestlers. But an agent offered a less enthusiastic take, noting that the UFC's willingness to let top stars like, I guess, Francis Ngannou walk out over pay disputes and Endeavor passing on dream fights, as well as placing restrictions on fighters using outside advertisers, or maybe not such positive things. So there we go. It's expected that the buyout could be announced as soon as today. So keep your eyes peeled. Focus. We'll have some coverage on the website or YouTube, whatever we can fit in, when it eventually happens. But yeah, something to watch. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know too much about the UFC and Endeavor's dealings. I haven't followed MMA in several years, so I can't really give you a strong opinion on them as buyers yet. I'm going to do my homework and come back to you on that one. But anyway, let's get over to these Twitter questions for the day. Wow, there was a lot of them, as you could understand. So I've picked 5 here from my mentions on Twitter. We'll go through some of these. The first one comes from Shonda Lear, who says, I've seen some suggest that Cody needed to lose because his story needs to go deeper than 1 year. Do you think it's possible to catch lightning in a bottle twice, or has the moment now truly passed? If it's the latter, who the hell beats Roman now? So my thoughts on this, and look, I'm not really one to get completely fired up about booking decisions and stuff like that, or the word outrage gets thrown around a lot. It's not really my style anymore. I certainly don't blame anyone who watched this show and went, God, this sucks, blah, 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 whatever. That's a perfectly valid viewpoint, and my viewpoint is that it was the wrong choice and that Cody Rhodes should have gone over. He was the hottest thing on the face of the earth. I think particularly coming out of the Sami Zayn loss, it was really impressive that Cody managed to stay so overwhelmingly over. And when that happened, that to me was a sign that yes, this is the right way to go. This is a story that doesn't necessarily need any longer, because Cody's story to coming back to the top really goes back to him leaving WWE. And then of course coming back, losing to Seth, spending all that time away, fighting back, winning the Royal Rumble, entering this feud with Roman. It would have been a great cap, a fantastic opportunity to mint kind of like your next ace figure in this promotion. And I do feel like they've passed that up. Can they reheat Cody? Can they make this story go on longer than a year? Per your comment here, I believe it already has, for the reasons I've just explained. Can they reheat him to the level he was ahead of WrestleMania? I am doubtful of that. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I do think they made the wrong call here, yeah, for sure. And we like, it's the kind of call that Vince McMahon made dozens and dozens of throughout his tenureship, and he was rightly criticized for. So I am criticizing WWE fairly, I think, for this call. Now, if we are 3 months later down the line and somebody else defeats him, say Jey Uso is someone I've seen mentioned as a potential toppler of Roman, and it would fit the Bloodline storyline. If we get there and that feels like the hottest thing in the world, maybe we need to reconsider. So, not getting too far into the partisan stuff myself personally. I don't have time for the loud, aggressive arguments and all of that stuff that happens in the wake of these decisions. It's just not my speed, but if it is your speed, fair play. People invest a lot into these situations, and I understand both reactions. Another question here today. Hope that was not too on the fence for you. But Kenny's been on asking about my favourite match from night 1 and my favourite match from night 2. Star ratings video coming out later today, by the way. I'll go into depth on every single match on WrestleMania. Night 1, favourite match for me, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair. Awesome. Didn't start awesome. I was a bit worried early on. I thought they were suffering from some communication bits and pieces here and there, maybe not quite on the same page. Proved me wrong very quickly. Beat the crap out of each other. Sick match. Loved it. Night 2, Intercontinental title 3-way. Right up my street. For me, as good as Gunther versus Sheamus last year, with Drew as the added element. Just sick across the board. Gunther continues to be an amazing Intercontinental champion, and this style of wrestling can work in WWE. This is proof. I would have said the main event. I thought it was trending towards 5 stars, but I disagree with the finish, so there we are. But yeah, lots of great matches across these 2 nights. It was nice to see. Another question here from He's Gone, fair play, asks, did Triple H blow it? time will tell, obviously. I'm not going to make a let it play out argument in this situation. I don't think it's appropriate. I do think that this is the first major booking decision that Triple H is going to face significant flack for. And he should face a bit of an inquisition for this. I wasn't entirely convinced by what he said at the press conference, to be quite honest with you, but credit to the journalists for asking the questions. In the moment, yeah, it does feel like he has blown it. But I reserve the right to change my mind if he proves us wrong a few months down the line. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Next question comes from Paradigm, who asks, switching gears a little bit here. Morning, Andy. Happy Raw after WrestleMania. Everyone's going to go towards Cody, but I'll be contrarian. Who should the new challengers to the women's title be? Both Bianca and Rhea. Have a good day. So this is quite an interesting thing to consider, isn't it? I think that with Rhea, she's moving over to SmackDown, perhaps. Obviously, she has the SmackDown Women's title, so why wouldn't she? I think her and Raquel could be good fun. They had a really fun rivalry down in NXT. In fact, their Falls Count Anywhere match they had, I think it was January, was it 2020 or 2021? January. Either way, it was sick. And it was the first time I looked at Raquel and went, oh, she's got it. She's awesome. She's really cool. This is great. It would be a great chance to kind of elevate Raquel. Obviously, you'd want her to lose in this situation, which isn't always ideal, but I think if you tell the right story, you can do that. And I think it'd be a really good time across the board. And for Bianca Belair, her situation is probably a little bit more complex because she's kind of beaten the majority of people of note on that brand. Why not be brave? Why not elevate one of the Damage Control singles wrestlers into that spot? Io Sky, there you go. That's who I'm going with. Again, it would just be a sick match. And I feel like we need to do something a bit different with that group. Maybe they'll split up tonight. Who knows? We'll find out. Our final question today comes from Neil. This is my favorite of the lot. Do you know where I can get one of those Men in Black flashlight things from? Cry laugh emoji. Well, brother, let me tell you, watching that main event, watching it all unfold, if I had the answer to that question, I'd have already used it on myself, and I wouldn't be here answering it on a news video. But hey, thank you for joining me today. Solo news video. Lots to unpack, obviously, with these big stories and situations. So fire away down in the comments section below. Have it out. Do what you must. It's going to go down as one of the biggest booking decisions in modern WWE history. So time will tell if it was the right choice, the wrong choice, or just kind of a mediocre choice. And I think it's the wrong one right now, but you know. Yeah. Follow us on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE if you don't already. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Then you can follow me on Twitter at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hoop48. Hoop Men Can't Jump. I'll be back later on with the star ratings video telling you what I thought about every single match on the card. Until then, see you later. Bye.